Peace, everybody. I hope that you guys are doing well. Welcome back to another video. I am really excited to talk about this theme today because it is something that I have definitely noticed in my coaching practice with individuals, and I also have noticed this in my own life, obviously. And so I want to talk about it today. And the big question is, are you causing your own suffering? Okay? Are you causing your own suffering? So we're going to get into this conversation. I will be using Iyanla Vanzant's book, Get Over It, Thought Therapy for Healing the Hard Stuff, which I highly recommend. And I'll also share a bit more with you about why Iyanla Vanzant is someone who I believe needs to get more of her flowers. Let's get into it. So suffering, human suffering, is something that we are all going to experience or have experienced, obviously, in one way or another. Right now, the world is really falling apart, and I cannot stress that enough. The world is falling apart. We have had children being murdered in schools since I was in high school. This has been happening. I was in high school when Columbine happened. And since then, we have seen several mass school shootings. We had Parkland, and, we just had Uvalde, and it's just one thing after another with the school shootings. We have also had the situation in Buffalo where, shout out to those folks, and God rest their souls, who were just trying to buy groceries, and, they were murdered. And so I want to really think about, toxic white male fragility and patriarchy and how it is destroying our world. I know that everyone is focused on gun reform, and that is a part of it, right? Obviously, getting a gun should not be that easy. I also think that it's about our humanity. What do we need to do for our humanity in order to be better to one another? What are we doing, and how are we making the world better, if we're making the world better? And listen, speaking of self-care, listen, I just got a brand new queen chain, and I just realized I'm not wearing my chain, so I'm gonna go get my chain. Yes, I'm gonna go get my chain and come back, okay? I am back with my queen chain. And I've got two angles here. So I've got an angle here and an angle here. So sometimes when you see me look over here and look over here, I feel like nobody says these things on YouTube, right? Like, come on. All right. So anyway, I've got my queen chain on. And the reason why this queen chain makes me so happy with regard to self-care is that it's just like a reminder. It's not subtle. It's a bold reminder of who I be. And you should have bold reminders of who you are as well. So as I was talking about with, the gun reform is one aspect of it. The other part is our humanity. What are we doing with our humanity? How are we showing up for one another and ourselves? How are we dealing with issues of mental health in the world and beyond? And, we really just need to center our humanity more, love one another more, and it's terrifying to even go outside right now. I saw this TikTok video the other day, and I'm always down the TikTok rabbit hole. Follow me on TikTok, Self Love Life 101. I like to create funnier content over there. I think it's really important to laugh right now. People are hurting everywhere, and we really need to laugh. And speaking of laughter, I just want to think about, how are you laughing right now, right? Are you using social media to laugh? Are you using TikTok? I use TikTok to laugh. I also have a lot of good friends who make me laugh. But if you can infuse some laughter in your life, please do that. We all need to laugh a little more. We all need to lighten up and not take ourselves so seriously. So today, the theme for this video is really talking about suffering. So we've all suffered. If you're watching this video, you've experienced suffering of some kind, either losing a family member or going through something in your life, personally or professionally. We have all suffered in one way or another, and we all suffer in different ways at different points of time. How we heal from the suffering, or how we react to suffering, matters. And it also matters whether or not we're actually creating more suffering in our lives. So there is some suffering that we cannot control, accidents, mass shootings. It's so sad that you have to say that, but you do. Accidents, mass shootings, things happening that are outside of your control, right? But there is suffering that we can control, like who we choose to come into our spaces, who we choose to share our secrets and our thoughts with and our ideas with, the people we choose to build with, the people we choose to partner with or build relationship or build community with. All of those things can impact how much we suffer and how long we suffer. Okay? I don't know about you, but I ain't trying to suffer. So I want to read this quote from Iyanla Vanzant's book. And if you haven't seen it, this is it. It's a really great book. Okay? Get over it. Thought Therapy. She says on page 5, I have come to understand that when individuals are suffering through unpleasant or undesirable situations and circumstances, they are often unaware of how they participate in creating or recreating their experience. So when you go through this particular act of suffering, how do you get through that, and are you recreating it? And I'll give you an example. I have worked with some clients who have shared some things with me, some decisions that they have made that is causing suffering in their lives. And then they continue to make those particular decisions because it feels comfortable, and we all do it. What feels safe, sometimes we stick with that, or what feels on the surface safe, right? Because when you really dive deeper, sometimes what we're claiming as safe is really causing our own suffering and oppression. And what we're seeing as safe is really toxic because of, patterns that we've learned throughout our childhood. Do not recreate your own suffering. Okay? And I'll give you an example of, if we think of, what happens after we don't get an opportunity that we really wanted, right? So that's something I can identify with. If there's a particular opportunity, if you applied for a fellowship or you submitted a book proposal and it didn't work out, right? And you just beat yourself up over this. I can't believe I didn't get it. Why me? Oh my God, why me? 1 month later, why me? It sucks. Why me? 2 months later, why me? Right? And time continues to go on. Time is unfair, y'all. Time is going to continue to move on while you're in that space of suffering. And so, as hard as it is, when we're in spaces of suffering, we also need to think about spaces for our healing and for our growth and development. And so don't recreate your suffering, which is what Iyanla is saying in the text, right? At the same time, people shouldn't be blamed for their own suffering. So this is not the same. If you look at folks who have been sexually assaulted, for example, right? That is suffering that was outside of their control, right? They cannot be blamed for their suffering. But what happens with the healing after that happens, right? Are you getting therapy to support you in your journey? Are you letting the right people in to support you? Are you creating more safe spaces for yourself? So these are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves when we experience different kinds of suffering, because unfortunately, suffering doesn't end for any of us. Suffering is a part of the human experience. I know. And so, yes, everybody wants to, sing Kumbaya every day and be happy. But the reality is that suffering is going to happen to every single person across race, class, gender, ability, sexuality. And having a self-care action plan for dealing with suffering is really important. So what is my action plan for dealing with suffering? One of my primary action plans is journaling. Writing down how you're feeling and really thinking about how this happened, why it's happening, and the steps you need to take, the self-care steps you need to take moving forward. That may mean removing certain people from your life. It may mean moving into a new community. It may mean finding new opportunities to increase your income so that you can be in a more independent space to heal. It could be locating that therapist that you're afraid to talk to. It could be locating a life coach to support you and help you. I have helped clients with just about everything, including building businesses, navigating weight loss journeys, building your confidence and self-esteem. All of these tools are critical for a radical self-care framework. If you're interested in more of my radical self-care framework, you should become a member of my club on Patreon, patreon.com/selflovelife101. Check it out. But what I do on Patreon is I really share more targeted coaching tips, and it's in a private community. I also share videos there that are only for you, exclusive to you, and are not on YouTube. So join my group if you want support with choosing yourself, battling through suffering. But listen, don't recreate your own suffering, okay? Do not recreate the suffering that you're accustomed to because you're afraid of your greatness, okay? You can step into something new, and when suffering arrives, because it will in different ways, you will have an action plan for how to respond to the suffering. All right? Peace, guys. Subscribe if you have not subscribed to my channel already. Hit the bell and comment below if you want to see more videos like this. Peace.